Hey, so for part 2, I'm gonna make him dinner. And I'm making pan-seared pork chops with a little bit of seasoning on them, an Iron Sword specialty blend that he made up, and some cheesy mashed potatoes, because it's Valentine's Day and why not cheesy, and then some roasted asparagus, because you gotta have a little bit of healthy in there, right? Come on, let's go. Alright, we got our russet potato. You can use Yukon Gold, but they just tend to be a little bit more silky, where russet potatoes are that light and fluffy potato. And I'm just gonna peel this one. Some people like to leave the peels on their potatoes when they mash them. Somebody in this house likes it that way, but prefers it without. He's not as fussy as I am, thank goodness, right? And I'm gonna chop up my potatoes. And you want them to be uniform in size, probably about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, but make sure that they're uniform, and you're gonna plop them in the water. And we're gonna get this going, and once they're all ready to go, we are going to simmer them, bring them to a boil, and we're gonna boil them until they're fork tender. One whole potato in our pot, and we're gonna go put this on the stovetop, medium-high heat, and bring it to a boil. This is fresh asparagus. This is a little on the small side. It's a grass, believe it or not. And to know where to break it is you start to flex and see that piece that pulls off? That's no good. Toss that aside. Now you know, and then you just take your knife and run it. There you go. And these go in the trash, and these we're gonna go cook up. Pork chops. These are thick cut, about 1 inch thick or so, and we're gonna just take some paper towels and I'm gonna pat these dry. And patting them dry will do a couple things. It's gonna get rid of any of those extra oils and stuff like that on there, and it's just that gross stuff that's left over with meat. And we're gonna set this aside and get rid of our paper towels. And then I have raided the Iron Sword Spices test kitchen, guys. Ha! Hubby didn't know till now that I did. But one of the things he had been working on was this mixture, and it was what started out as hammered hive, and he's just been playing with it. And this is almost like a barbecue potato chip. That's kind of what it gives me, that vibe. And we're gonna just liberally go in and we're gonna season our pork chops. And just get that good and coated and rub it in just like you would if you were doing a pork loin. And I know that he's taught you that. And we're gonna flip this over and go back again. Just a liberal coating of those seasonings. And hopefully you guys will see this. I'm hoping to convince him to market this one, because he's really good at what he does, and he needs to get these test kitchen things out there. Even if it's not what he intended them to be originally, there's a plan for them. All right, so these are ready to go. We're gonna get our hot cast iron griddle pan going, and I'll meet you over there. All right, our potatoes are starting to boil. I don't salt the water ahead of time because you're gonna put that salt into the mixture when we're ready. We are ready for our asparagus. I've got a pan here. It's heating up on a medium-high heat. And to that, we're gonna put about 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm just gonna use my finger for that, because why not? And I'm gonna get that, and we're gonna use about a teaspoon of olive oil as well, just to kind of give that a little bit more. It elevates the flavor. The butter will give you that creaminess and that richness, and the olive oil is going to give you a little bit of that exotic-ish flavor. Okay, and then we're going to take this, and to that, I'm going to use garlic powder today instead of garlic itself. I actually prefer the regular garlic, but I'm being lazy. I'm just going to use a little bit of garlic powder. And I'm going to toss, at this point, I'm going to take all my asparagus that we prepped, and I'm going to put my asparagus right in the pan. And I'm just going to work this with the tongs, and I'm going to get this nice and coated, because you want to make sure that it completely coats. And then we're gonna go back after this in a minute and we're gonna do some extra stuff with it. Now that this is coated, I'm gonna go after this with a little bit of our something's fishy. It's got hints of orange in there and it's got some garlic. And that's a pretty good one, and I want to just coat this liberally. I'm going to use probably about 1.5 teaspoons, which is a 1/2 tablespoon if you don't have the teaspoon. And we're going to just toss this around a little bit again, and you can hear it sizzling. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but it's sizzling here, and it smells really yummy. And then I'm going to take the juice from a lemon, and I like to roll my lemons like this first, because this is going to expedite those juices and get them flowing a little bit better. So I just give it a roll, and then I'm going to cut the lemon in half. And if you have a juicer, feel free to use it. You can take a fork, but I actually like just taking it over my hand so I can catch those seeds, and just go like this and just drizzle that lemon juice onto the asparagus. And it's going to give this a bright flavor, and it's going to really pair well with that orange. I'm going to go after it with the other half of a lemon. Ooh, I lost a seed in there. The little sucker just popped out and jumped ship. Alright. So I'm just going to grab my tongs because nobody wants that. Nobody wants to eat a seed. And I'm just going to give this a toss back and forth. And you want to just let this simmer until these just start to tender. See that bright green, how they're changing? Once they go brown, you've gone too far. It's going to start that mushiness. So you want to get them bright green and just to start turning. Our potatoes got fork tender, and I've drained them off, and I'm using a fork to mash them. I don't have a lot of potatoes, so doing this with a fork makes a lot of sense, but we're going to mash them up. And to this, we're going to add some cheese and some butter and some salt and some 7 pepper and some sour cream. But this is going to make short work of our cold butter. And I'm just going to take that, look at that. Can you see that? Look at that. And I'm going to put about 1/4 stick of butter in here. Maybe a little bit more. But look at that. It comes out, it makes things so much easier. And that butter will melt really quickly in these potatoes. And you want to get them so that they're a nice, even coating. And then we're going to take about 1/4 cup of sour cream, and we're going to add that. But I'm going to take a little bit of our 7 pepper and put that in there. And I'm going to mix that up. And then to that, I'm going to grab a little bit of salt, put a little sprinkle of salt in there, and mix that up. Microplaner. And I'm just going to, this is about 2 ounces of extra sharp cheddar. You can use any kind of cheddar you want. I like the extra sharp. He likes the extra sharp. So we're going to go after that with about 1 ounce or 2 of that cheddar cheese. Alright, I've got a preheated griddle pan here on a medium to medium high. And I'm going to add just a little bit of butter. It's going to give a little bit of a richness to our pork. And I'm going to take our pork chops and I'm going to just sear them off. And you want to let them go, and I'm going to put all 3 because they will fit. And we're just going to cook them for about 6 minutes per side, and we're going to turn them so you get the grill mark in the opposite direction. These have been gone for about 3 minutes, and we're going to turn them diagonally just to get that famous crisscross. Alright, now we're going to flip these over. If you get to a point where this is not looking like it's going to cook all the way through, you can actually put these in a preheated oven at 350. And I'm getting yelled at because behind the cameraman who normally cooks, this is his realm, not mine. I'm not very good on the grill, but he's trying to teach me, and that's what's important. And I'm doing it out of love because it's Valentine's Day. Alright, we're ready. We're going to turn. And I'm being told I shouldn't be putting these in the same spot on the pan, but with 3 pork chops on here, that's really hard to do. But we're going to turn them. And these are not going to be ready because they are thicker, so when we're done with this side, we're going to take them and we are going to pop them in the oven while we finish off our asparagus, and our potatoes are both on the heat on low, just keep it warm while we get these going. And then I'm going to show you how to plate, kind of fancy. All right, our pork chops are done. They're looking delicious. They've hit an internal temperature of 145. Our mashed potatoes I kept on the stove warming, and now we're just going to plate. So I'm going to take a scoop of mashed potatoes, and I'm just going to put that on there in the middle. Now, if I wanted to be cute, I would do a heart shape, but we're not going to do that tonight. And then I've got our asparagus, and we're just going to take a few of those. And see, you still get that green. See what I was talking about? This is already starting to get too mushy, but it's still green. We're going to take that, and we're just going to layer that across our mashed potatoes. And just kind of nestle them in there to give them some structure. And then we're going to take our pork chop, and you can do one of two things with this. I'm going to let him cut into his own. So I'm just going to take the pork chop and sit that right on top. And then, voila! You want to serve this with a little bit of garnish. You can put just a little bit of parsley or chives on top, something like that. Ooh, a little bit too much there, but you can do that. From a sauce perspective, if you want to do a gravy, you can pan sear your gravy, use a little bit of the leftover butter from the asparagus and do that. But in this case, I'm going to go kind of plain with it. Drizzling a little bit of balsamic vinegar would be really good on this as well. With that, happy Valentine's Day from a main course for the hubby. Even the puppers get Valentines, right, boys? Well, come on, Buzz Buzz, get it. Come on, Buzz Buzz, get it.